Hari Om. Let us now continue. We are in the midst of studying verse number 2 of Vivekachudamani. Having examined the stages through which a spiritual seeker, a human being in the first place, and then a spiritual seeker has to move, we have reached the stage of Atma Anatma Vivechanam, which is the stage of Mananam. After having exposed ourselves to the Vedantic teaching under the guidance of a live Acharya for a consistent and considerable amount of time, I was mentioning about Swamiji's interesting acronym OMACT in the last capsule, which Swamiji uses to effectively help us understand the natures of both Anatma and Atma. The teaching itself, the entire Vedantic teaching, is approached in this manner. Atma, Anatma, Viveka is done on one side, thoroughly done on one side. The Guru instructs that the student must apply himself to this aspect of the teaching, and parallelly the teaching, the central teaching that Jivatma essentially is none other than Paramatma is also given. So Atma Anatma Viveka is done on one side, and parallelly Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam, the teaching, is presented on the other side. They are taken in tandem. Why it is done is because the more I know, the more I can appreciate, the more I can discriminate between Atma and Anatma. It becomes literally a cakewalk when the Guru presents the aikyam between Jivatma and Paramatma. It becomes susukham, like Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Susukham kartumavyayam. He says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavyayam. Once Atma Anatma Viveka is sufficiently done, thoroughly done, then the mind is patram enough, is prepared enough to receive the Guru's painting of the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam teaching. That paint will stick on the prepared surface once and for all. Otherwise, if the discrimination between Atma and Anatma has not been done properly, and if the student receives the teaching and relates himself, continues to relate himself with the ahankara, which is ridden with samsara, then the Guru's painting is being applied on an unprepared surface. It will all work during the class, but will peel off, will drop off once the class is done. Like Swamiji jocularly often says, when the chappals are on, the teaching is gone. The teaching will never stick in an unprepared mind. Therefore, Atma Anatma Viveka is a necessity, absolute necessity. Then, when the teacher teaches me about the Brahmatma, Aikyam, I will be able to clearly say, having understood the nature of Atma, the teacher is going to tell me Atma and Brahman have the same natures. Ahankara and Brahman do not have the same nature. They are absolutely 180 degrees apart. When the Guru says Tattvamasi, the arrow of Tattvamasi pierces through my entire Panchakoshas, the Ahankara, and touches the inner, intrinsic, infinite nature, the Atma. And once it does, because of the clarity achieved, I will automatically say, Aham Brahma Asmi. The acronym that Swami Paramarthananda uses is OMAT. And each of the letters of OMAT expands into the following. We will take Anatma and apply OMAT to look at the features of Anatma. O stands for observable. M stands for material. A stands for with attributes. C stands for subject to change. And T corresponds to temporariness or impermanence. The corresponding Sanskrit words for each of these English words are observable equates to drishyatvam, material equates to bhautikatvam, A attributes corresponds to sagunatvam. All these are about the nature or the features of Anatma. A stands for attributes, which is sagunatvam. C standing for change equates to savikaratvam. And T, temporariness, corresponds to agama payitvam. So, drishyatvam, bhautikatvam, sagunatvam, savikaratvam, and agama payitvam are the features of anatma. While the features of atma, like I said earlier, are diametrically opposite to that of anatma, which will translate into unobservable, unobservability, non-material or spiritual, non-attributed or without attributes. C, non-changing, permanent, or not subject to change. And T, non-temporary, meaning not subject to arrival and departure. The Sanskrit words, corresponding Sanskrit words are adrishyatvam, abhautikatvam, agunatvam or nirgunatvam, avikaratvam or nirvikaratvam, and anagama payitvam, not subject to arrival and departure. Swamiji has used this acronym OMACT to effectively bring out the differences between Atma and Anatma, to make it stick in our antakaranams. A beautiful acronym worth remembering and worth recollecting as often as possible. So, Atma Anatma Vivechanam corresponds to Mananam, in which we apply ourselves to the differences between Atma and Anatma and strengthen the knowledge that we have received, clearing it of all doubts, making it our own. It is only digested food that can nourish. Likewise, it is only digested knowledge that can serve the cause of ridding us of the notion of samsara. So that's the next stage that Shankaracharya is talking about, Atma Anatma Vivechanam. Independent thinking that is involved on the part of the student, initially, of course, assisted by his guru. So, what we learn from this is Vedanta requires both a guru and independent thinking. The willingness to apply ourselves to thinking as independently as we can. Of course, our guru and our co-students are available for discussion, but primarily the work needs to be done by us. A person must be reasonably rational and intellectual. That is why in the olden days, students were required to study Tarka, Mimamsa, Vyakarana, etc. Tarka is to help you to think logically. Mimamsa is to reverentially interpret, learning to reverentially interpret Vedic statements. And Vyakarana is the study of grammar, Sanskrit grammar, etc. Whatever else that was required. So, all these are required for sharpening our thinking faculty. It was all built into in the syllabus. So the student was thorough in whatever he or she studied. The thinking faculty needs to be sharpened because knowledge is involved. Thinking is something that needs to be cultivated systematically. Swamiji says, most of us may have even forgotten what the process of thinking is all about. Because the approach to learning has to necessarily be a thinking oriented activity. Very critical thinking is required, subtle intellect is required to receive the teaching, retain the teaching, assimilate the teaching, and benefit from this wonderful teaching. We will pick up the thread of this interesting discussion of Shloka number 2 of Vivekachudamani in the upcoming capsules and take our discussion forward. Hari Om. Om Durjana Sajjano Bhuyad Sajjana Shantimapnuyad Shanto Muccheta Bandhebhyah Muktaschanyan Vimochayet Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om